Hi guys, do you know what not to do during the interviews? Because a lot of people would tell you what to do, but let me tell you what not to do. First and foremost, and this is particularly important for the development sector interviews, do not oversell yourself. I repeat, do not oversell. Let me give you an example. A candidate who came up for a consultancy interview, let's say two candidates of a similar background, could say something like this. The first candidate is saying, well, I've been advising the government of XYZ, and I met the ministers and, advised them of doing their fiscal policies into a certain fashion. And, that was taken by the XYZ United Nations agency and the development partner and so on and so forth. So I was instrumental in mobilizing hundreds of millions of dollars for that country, period. Now, that is one. The second candidate with a similar assignment could say like this. Well, I was working with one of the UN agencies, and I was part of the team that worked for the government in order to give them some policy advice and technical assistance, which actually led for that government to mobilize some of the resources to the tune of $100 million. Now, in both of these cases, it was exactly the same assignment that was done, but there is a huge difference. The first candidate, as a panel, one would think that this candidate should be a minister. I mean, if you're so much in advising the countries, go and advise either your own country or some of the other countries. Why are we here for an interview, for a staff or a consultant? So this is a first annoying factor. Please do not annoy your panel. Try to tell them that you're there to do a task, because you're being hired to do a certain task, not to really lead and advise and things. There are director generals or the senior managers and of course the ministers as well in the country. So that is the first annoying factor. So please do not do that. Try to be pragmatic, realistic, and very specific. The second I want to say, in terms of the general appearance and others, a lot of people do not realize, because we are human beings, we all have some habits, or I don't want to call it bad habits, but oftentimes you would annoy the panel immediately with some of your stuff. For example, a lot of times I've seen people, sitting on the interview table and suddenly started, tapping their pens like this. It might be out of anxiety or a habit, but it really annoys. And secondly, sometimes people have these habits of, for example, doing like this, or, with some sounds with your mouth, in between, like, or something like that. Please do not do that. And oftentimes, I've also seen that, people start tapping their feet, like this if you hear the sound. Now, these are the factors that would put the interview panel off immediately. Yes, you might be the most brilliant candidate and you've done this and that, but if you do not attract their attention on these issues, that is certainly a failure factor. And by the way, in the end, pay attention to your appearance, dress well. I'm not saying, in a certain fashion, dress well and appear well. And, if you can use some of the cologne or other things so that people do not get put off by the so-called lifestyle that you have chosen. I know there is a new theory of, living on your own life. Please do, but pay respect to the panel. For example, this jacket that I'm wearing today should be okay, but no, what if it was plain? It would have been a bit more formal. So I just wanted to share with you some of the things that may sound very, normal, but when you apply these things and when you do, your success ratio becomes very, very minimal. So please pay attention on these two things for not doing during any of the interview. Otherwise, best of luck for your future endeavors. Thank you.